Hello and welcome to the second episode of Straight from the Source, where we put your questions directly to Source Consciousness. In this episode, we're going to focus on health and well-being. Welcome, Source.
Good evening.
I have several questions from a few people, all on the topic of health. Serena says, I'm curious about health conditions in general. I would like to know what's the deal with them and how we can cure ourselves. She then also wants to know about cancer and what is the deal with that and how we can overcome it. So the first one is a very general one about health conditions in general. What is the deal with them and how can we cure ourselves?
The purpose of why you have created the illness must first be established. Nothing comes without purpose. What you refer to as illness has purpose. Once you determine the purpose, there is no more requirement for the illness.
So you're saying that we can cure ourselves by identifying the purpose of the illness.
That is the first step. Before you even get there, you must understand why you have created the illness in the first place. It does not come from anywhere else. It comes from you.
Since our thoughts are creating our reality, it is our thoughts that are creating the illness, is that right?
Well, you just said it. If your thoughts are creating this reality, then this reality is the combined efforts of all of your thoughts. Therefore, if something is causing an illness, why is it that not everybody gets this illness? There must be some choice going on. Oh, some people are unlucky to get cancer from some source of disease or eating meat or something else, but millions of others do exactly the same thing and do not get this disease. If something is to be consistent, then it must be consistent. If it is not consistent, then you must look at what the only isolating factor is, and that is the consciousness of the person who has manifested the illness.
So then if somebody is manifesting, say, a brain tumor, would that be because they are thinking too much? Are we able to identify what thoughts are creating which illnesses?
Of course. Where the illness appears in the body is a direct sign of what the issue is. If your focus is on a particular thing, then it will manifest in a particular part of the body.
And this is in relation to the chakras, is that right? And
what you refer to as chakras, if I may elaborate, that you have a general system where you have nominated 7 chakras. This is a convenience for you because there are 7 colors in the rainbow. In point of fact, there are an infinite number of colors in a rainbow, just as there are infinite chakras. But if you wish to be more specific, then the chakras are centered within the spine of the body, with each vertebrae being a different energy point. So there are many more than 7.
So how can a person then identify if they have an illness in a specific part of their body? How can they identify what that relates to in their thinking?
Their life will be a reflection of it in the things that they have issues with. You can use your chakra model as an approximate guide. I think that if you focus on survival, creation, power, flow, communication, vision, oneness, these locations will give you an indication of what the issues are that your higher self is trying to bring to your conscious perception.
Thank you. And so the final part of that question is, how can we cure ourselves from those illnesses?
Any way you want. If you think that having radiation will cure your cancer, then you will. But if underlying that is a belief structure based on the fact that you wish to create the illness, then the radiation will not cure the cancer. What happens with most people, though, is they get to a point where they surrender their ego. And then they are in a position where they can, what you would call, perform miracles.
Serena's second part of that question is about the cancer, which I believe in a way we've already covered. So she's saying, what is the deal with cancer and how can someone overcome it?
There is a whole business built on this issue of cancer. Most of the cancers that humans choose to contract are actually created by your pharmaceutical companies, because they then create a fear about cancer. So once you trigger people's fears and you induce responses within them, they will manifest cancers.
Can you elaborate on what you exactly mean by inducing? What were you saying?
Your pharmaceutical companies, in collaboration with upper echelons of controlling bodies, have actually introduced many cancer-causing substances into your food, water supplies, and more importantly, into your medications. They are injecting them into your bodies, knowing that cancers will abound.
And so how can we then deal with that and overcome this?
Wake up. Stop letting them put things into your bodies blindly.
So that would mean then, there's a question about nutrition later on, but it seems to flow beautifully into here. Does that then mean that we shouldn't take any processed foods, should not drink the water that comes out of the tap because it's got chlorine in it, etc.?
This is simple cause and effect. Remember, this is all an illusion, but it is your illusion, and what you believe is what you will manifest. If you do not know on a conscious level, there are certain substances in food and water, in medications and vaccines that cause certain reactions in the body that are detrimental to the body. Your higher self knows that these things are there. So if you choose to put them into your body, you do so with the knowledge that they will create certain effects. It is not taking these things that makes you healthy. But taking them will create certain side effects. Simple cause and effect.
So is it then best to be vegetarian or vegan and avoid any type of processed food and sugar, wheat or alcohol?
It depends what the purpose is that you are eating it. All things have consciousness. Plants, animals. There is no difference between the consumption of a lettuce and a cow. The life form ceases to exist and its consciousness goes. That is neither bad nor good, but some of you wish to put a good and bad label on it. If it is all illusion, what are we saying? There are good illusions and bad illusions?
So what you're saying is that it doesn't matter whether we are vegetarian or vegan or meat eaters, because the consciousness, the purpose with which we're eating is more important than what we're taking into our body?
Exactly. It is the consciousness behind why you choose to consume these things. And understand that the human form does not need to consume anything other than water and light, and the simplest of chemical substances called sugars.
So the sugars that we find in fruit.
Yes.
Yes.
All other things you put into your body are through your own choice, not through necessity.
But because we believe that we have to eat them, therefore that's what we're creating, and that's
That
what
is
our body
correct.
needs.
And therefore you will manifest all manner of symptoms.
Is it true then that we should refrain from processed food, or does it again have to do with our level of frequency, our vibration, whether or not those processed chemicals affect us or not?
If one has chosen to incarnate to experience what it is to be obese, then it will be necessary for them to indulge in processed foods and chemicals, etc. If someone has incarnated to experience cancer of some sort or another, then they will have to consume what will cause and trigger that response.
And what would be the purpose of choosing obesity or choosing cancer or choosing migraines?
To experience them. Why does an actor audition for a character that gets killed in a film or play?
To experience.
To experience, because it creates entertainment. And they get to experience that role.
So because this three-dimensional reality in some level is an illusion, we're being the actor playing out that role, playing out the migraines, the cancer, and yet we were saying earlier that when we have understood the purpose of that illness, we can cure it.
First, I must illuminate you. This is not a reality. It is a perceived reality. It is not some sort of illusion. It is totally illusion. When you watch a movie on a screen, do you get caught up in the storyline and the things that happen to the characters?
Yes. But we still know that it's an illusion.
Well, then you have just forgotten that this is a movie.
So the second part of the question here was, once we've experienced it, some people take it into the afterlife with them. They die of the cancer because it's not part of their sole purpose to cure it in this life, and yet others cure themselves from it. And I think one of Serena's questions was, how do we cure it? And we said we cure it by firstly identifying the purpose.
The biggest error here is that you think you must cure cancer. If it is there for purpose, then you cannot cure it. All you can do is understand the purpose, and then it has no need to persist. You must stop using these terminologies of illness and cure. They are the very things that prevent you from awakening.
What do we replace them with?
Purpose.
Yes.
I have said this before, and I will say it again. There is not one subatomic particle in this illusion called your universe that is not exactly where it is meant to be, doing exactly what it is meant to do, including every cancer cell in your body. Now, if in the infinite wisdom of the universe someone has cancer, would it not then be wise to seek as to why they have chosen that?
Yeah. There is another question along those same lines from Eleanor. She's saying, if our thoughts create our reality, why is it that babies are born with deformities, intellectual handicaps and illnesses, given that they haven't even begun to think yet? And I feel like partly we have talked about that already, but perhaps we can specifically address this.
Understand the difference between the mind thinking and the higher self conceiving. These are two different things. Would you wish to go to a movie where everybody in the movie sat down contemplating their navel with a stupid grin on their face for 2 hours?
No.
It would get a bit boring. No one wants to, as an actor, just be a bit player, an extra. They want the main roles. They want the exciting roles, the ones with the challenge, with the adventure, with the catastrophe, with the pathos. As actors become more experienced, they choose more challenging roles. As souls become more experienced, they do likewise. They see what a challenge it would be to play the role of a blind child, of a deaf child, of an intellectually handicapped Down syndrome child, as a paraplegic, as a quadriplegic. These are choices made at the highest level and have nothing to do with the body, with the thinking process of the body. They are decided before conception.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else that you would like to add or would like people to know around this subject of health and well-being?
Look in the mirror. See how many belief systems are controlling you. What I must eat, what I must not eat, what I must do, what I must not do. So many of you are ruled by belief structures.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you for listening to Q&As straight from the source. If any parts of the conversation have evoked more questions within you, or you would like to gain more clarity around any aspect of what we have talked about, please post your comments and your questions below, and we will put them to source next time we speak. If you have enjoyed this episode and would like to receive future updates, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you're listening or watching this somewhere else, simply go to our website goddessreawakening.com, where you can sign up to be sure to be informed. Thank you and have a wonderful day.